All right, good afternoon, everybody. Joe Carullo back at Carullo's Corner at it'sallaboutScores.com. Today I have with me the former six-time sectional champion, Mr. Rob Hinson, head coach of the Camden Panthers. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. Before we get started, let me rewind a little bit. You had a great run at Timber Creek prior to coming back to Camden. Tell us a little bit about the adjustment, the transition. It seems to be a smooth transition with you're winning like 10 games a year. Transition looked pretty smooth. Any thoughts on the change?
It's been, like you said, it's been a pretty smooth transition. I think the biggest thing is that, I came home. So, coming back, to my alma mater and my city where I grew up, there's a lot of support, a lot of support with administration, a lot of support with my athletic director, a lot of support with the teachers in the building, families there. So, it's been really good, being home. So the amount of support that I received is kind of what's making the transition a little easier.
All right, great. Jump right in, but tell us a little bit about the 2025 Camden Panthers. What do you guys got cooking?
We're a veteran team. We're a veteran team. Guys that played a lot of football, a lot of returning starters. These are essentially, my guys per se, because they're seniors that I came in with. These guys came in with me as freshmen, and now they're seniors. So this is like truly my first class at Camden High, and we're deep. We got 20-something seniors. They got experience on the lines, which I haven't really had a lot of that throughout my coaching career. We got experience at the skills. Guys have won, so I'm pretty positive on outlook for this season.
Awesome. Anybody in particular you should keep our eyes on? Want to tell us a little bit about some of the kids coming back or any new kid that?
I mean, we're pretty loaded up. I mean, JoJo White, he's the left tackle committed to Syracuse. Ibn is an athlete committed to Syracuse. Chris Braxton's a 1,200-yard rusher. He's back. Will Kristen, he's one of the top 15 offensive linemen in South Jersey. Um, just a lot of experience. Just a lot of experience. Halim Muhammad, he's one of the top edge rushers in South Jersey. So it's a lot of starters come back, but it's a lot of guys who played at a really high level.
Right. So, what's your realistic outlook this year? What are your goals?
State championship. Like honestly, if we don't win a state championship, I'm gonna feel like the season was a disappointment.
Okay, because I know you're knocking on the door. I believe when we talked the other day, you guys reached the sectional final last year. You had won the sectional final the previous 2 years, so you guys are right there.
Yeah,
I know that last step's the hardest, but you're knocking on the door. And from what you're telling me and what I've heard around, you guys are going to be there at the end of November again.
yeah, that's the goal.
Notice your first game's out of state. I know it's a pattern for you guys. Just want to share with everybody, how that came about. I know you play a lot of out of state games with some of the schools that you've coached.
Yeah, we started doing that at Timber Creek. You know what I mean? And I don't think we had a winning record. Like of all the out of state games that I've played, I didn't have a winning record with those out of state opponents. But the experiences have been, lifelong experiences that my guys still talk about. Guys on my staff as Coach Witters and stuff like that. And typically when we go away, we added a lot of things to it. Like, we'll get there Thursday, we'll visit and practice at Shepherd University. You know what I mean? Then the guys will have bonding activities Thursday. We'll put on all the games on the screen because they're letting us use the conference room on Thursday night. Friday will be a really good day, walkthroughs, meetings, and stuff like that. We'll play Friday night. And then Saturday, when we leave in the morning, we'll go to University of Maryland. We'll have an unofficial team visit then, practice, down on the field. And then we'll watch that game and probably leave at halftime. But those kids will be getting visits and evaluations from, Shepherd, which is a big-time Division II school. And, then Maryland, they get to put, a name to a face of some guys that they didn't get to see in the spring.
All right, awesome. So you guys make a weekend out of it. It's more than just a game.
Yeah, yeah, it's way more than just a
Sounds
game.
like a fun time.
Yeah,
Getting back to your schedule. I know you guys are a Group 2 school. You
yeah.
play this year. It's like, and last year, 2-year schedule. You guys have like all 4s and 5s. How do you feel about that? What are some pros and cons, and how you navigating that?
I mean, initially when my AD first showed me the schedule, we were kind of sitting in the office,
Yeah.
and he was looking at the screen. All the schedules came out, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm gonna play some of the close rivals,
Right, right,
maybe schools that are threes, mostly fours. You know what I mean? Against some of my friends, and some regional stuff, like really close stuff that you would expect, like a Pensacola or Cherry Hill, some schools like that. Um, but then they weren't on the schedule. He said, "Oh man, let me turn the screen around." So he turns it around. I'm like, "Oh man!" I said, "We got Kingsway at 5,
yeah.
Shawnee and RV and Holy Spirit and Winslow." I was like, "Good gracious!" Did they realize we're Group 2? You know what I mean? So we welcomed it. You know what I mean? I said, all right, well, our goal is to win every game, but when you're a smaller school, it's not as realistic to do it
Right.
and still remain healthy at the end of the season. So you got to kind of manage your roster a little bit where, you want to win every game, and your goal without question is to win every game. But if you don't, you still want to be in a really good situation when the postseason comes. So that allows us that by having that heavy schedule.
Right. Well, you went 10-3 last year. So, I mean, obviously battle tested, but moving forward, like I don't know what you'll have in the next 3 or 4 years. And I know the way they do this schedule. You foresee them giving you this schedule again? If so, how do you see navigating it as the years come by?
Yeah, see, that's the tough thing. You have some success, then they increase your schedule. And when I reached out to the West Jersey Football League about the schedule initially, like jokingly or whatever, they said, yeah, it kind of maybe violated the bylaws. We anticipated you guys being a bigger school or whatever. But and it's like, contact some of your non-division guys and see if they'll drop you. But my non-division is Winslow, and we're not dropping that one, and Timber
Right.
Creek, and we're not dropping that one. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's not our job to manage our schedule, So
Play who you're giving.
yeah, so we have no idea what they can do moving forward, how they address it. But obviously we're going to be a pretty good team, and our goals would be pretty good and competitive every year. But you take a little lick in there when you're a Group 2 school, and by the time you get the playoffs and postseason and after sectionals, it's a lot of ball when you have guys. You don't have a boatload of guys. But I still saying all that, I still feel like we can win every game that we play.
Yeah, it's a question I often ask because a lot of times, a lot of conferences, they do what you've done the last 2 years. And I've always said, it's any team could be good or bad for 2 years. It's what you do over the last five. I have that just a rounded number with five. So I often
Yeah.
wonder, like, how does, not just you guys, like any team, like, okay, you go undefeated for 2 years, you lose everybody, and now you're playing a gauntlet. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, we're already playing fives and fours, so I
yeah,
mean, we're going to get Bosco and Bergen and
why not?
IMG and everybody. You know what I mean? So and then they're doing that playoff thing,
Right.
which I think is ridiculous because it's only targeting a few schools. That moving up thing or whatever. After next year, if you're competitive and you've been winning, then you get moved up a division for the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that either because you don't know what's going to happen year to year.
Yeah,
Kids graduate. That's what they're not getting. Kids graduate, and you don't know what you have coming
yeah.
back.
Like I lose 24
Yeah,
seniors. I've never had a class, even at Timber Creek, I never had a class of 24 seniors. So that's a bulk of the program. So moving forward, what I mean, like a Group 5, you do well. Where do you go? You're
where you
not
go?
going to you're not going to the non-public playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So it targets specific groups, in my opinion. And then you look at the sports too, because right now I think they're going to start out with football and basketball. But what about the smaller schools who are in wrestling and tennis and field hockey who win every year? They're not going to be subjected to moving up.
And then
So
the criteria. Okay, what does good mean? That's such a
yeah,
how good is
yeah,
good?
yeah,
It's so much. It's a great idea. I think the good intentions are there, but again, it's so hard to foresee year to year. It's why
absolutely,
I like the way they
absolutely.
do it now with the numbers. If you're this big, you're in this division, and
Play,
that's
you play, you play. So
like in
yeah.
wrestling. You're a certain weight, you're going to wrestle somebody in a certain weight. But
Yeah, not like you've been beating up the 89ers, so now you got to
exactly,
wrestle heavy. Like, nah, yeah, that's how it works. Okay, no problem.
we'll
If
see
that's
how
what you
that
got to
goes.
wrestle, that's what you got to go. Yeah.
See how that goes in a couple of years. Before we head out for the day, I'll be can't miss talking about the Turkey Bowl. What's the status of the rivalry with your neighbor East Side, formerly Woodrow Wilson? I know
It's a great rivalry,
a lot of
man.
history.
It's not too many that have more games. Petersburg and Easton, Millville and Vineland. You know what I
Right.
mean? Come to mind, Haddonfield, Haddon Heights. We're right up there with all those schools. I think probably Easton and Petersburg might have the most, but in terms of, opponent every year. We're right there with all those guys. So, we're one of the top five, South Jersey. And then the thing, a lot of folks, are getting out of that game. But for us, it's almost like you can't get out of it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? But with East Side being put in our division, which was never the case, it's actually a division game now, which
he's a little
doesn't make
more.
sense. Yeah, you figure you go deep in the playoffs, then you got a division game. Your conference title is not decided yet. So if someone said, you know what, in our conference they built in that rivalry week type of deal where a lot of schools play that one week.
Yeah, I like.
Um, if they say, you know what, we're gonna make this a rivalry week game where, Labor Day weekend, all the families can travel just as well as they can travel during Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Just play it Labor Day weekend. You know what I mean? That type of game where people still travel.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that, and as the years go by, Thanksgiving games have gone by the wayside. There's pros and cons, but at least in my opinion, I still love going to a Thanksgiving game on Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah, I really do. Honestly, I really do like it. I just wish they weren't in our division and be a little different. But that 10:30 in
Could
the
change, that could
morning,
change this year. I mean,
it's fun. A lot of people, my alma mater, they're back, they're cooking out, they're grilling, they're doing events during the week. Building up to it. So it is really a special thing. From a football logistical standpoint, it ain't a special thing anymore like it did. But in terms of the significance of the game, it's still pretty meaningful.
yeah, I think I see where this is going altogether. There's going to be less and less, which there is every year. There's always going to be a few that remain, which I'm kind of glad about that. And I'm just
Yeah,
thinking, just for myself for the moment, because I love tradition, but I also love a lot of the new things that are going on. And to have one, you have to give up another. But
yeah,
Thanksgiving games are always going to be, even if there's only a few to choose from. And
yeah.
you guys were one of them, and that's why I wanted to talk about that. A lot of history, and I'm sure you can go on for the next hour, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm the third Henson head football coach there. My uncle Andy was there back in early '70s with Derek Ramsey and those guys. And
right,
cousin Reggie was the head coach there, '96 to like '98, '99,
right.
and then now me. So Henson football is in our blood, and the turkey game has been a part of our lives since I was a little kid.
Awesome. Well, Rob, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Great having you. Wish you best of luck this year. Gonna have to get out there, Farnham Park, catch a game this year.
Oh, definitely, man. We got brand new turf, brand
Was
new seating, great atmosphere, the
that
best band in the land, best cheerleaders in the land,
and the best.
the best
Don't
fans in
forget
the
the band.
land. You
Don't
got to
forget
come on
that
out.
band. The
Exactly.
can't talk about football without
Band,
talking about the
the
Camden High band.
fans, the cheerleaders, the game day experience there is one of love, man. It's
Yeah,
one of love.
yeah,
So
that
you're always welcome out there.
yeah, that October 4th game against Winslow looks interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. It's
Should be
gonna be
good.
a big one. We got a lot of work before we get to them, and they got
Yeah.
a lot of work before they get to us.
Uh,
So, but we're excited and they're excited. Those guys, most of those guys on that coaching staff played for me.
oh, really?
Yeah, the D coordinator, the DB coach, the receiver coach, the linebacker coach, the D line coach. They've all played for me or coached with me. So, it's like the head coach coached with me for 2 years. So it's the whole staff is like it's like family, it's extended family.
That should be a good one. Like I said, I'm a fan. I have a bad habit of looking ahead. Shouldn't do that. We've got
Yeah.
a lot of football before October. Again, I want to thank you, Rob, for coming out. It's Joe Carullo with Carullo's Corner at it'sallaboutschools.com. See you next time.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
You too, Coach.